Wisconsin. I totally want to do that, but it's not Wisconsin, and I'm not Robin Zander of the Cheap Trick. Yeah, so we'll work on that intro for you guys.
Wild Traxx.
Wild Traxx.
Wild Traxx.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Where did we leave off? Oh, well, first off, I went into the lounge.
Yeah.
And I looked at the Marshall fridge, and it does go to 11.
Of course.
I totally forgot about that feature, but alas, the light does not power on.
Oh, we're still on the light.
So yeah, it hurts my heart.
Yeah.
Oh well. So back in the day. Let me see. So this is the lounge. Where are we
logo.
at? That's not the lounge. There it is. That's the lounge. So back in the day, it looked like this.
A little different.
A lot different. I gathered so much stuff over the years. I was pretty much the Sanford and Son of recording. But anytime we went by a junkyard or garbage day or somebody was throwing stuff out or whatever, I never threw anything out around the house. I kept everything because I could bring it down into Foley and make stuff.
Look at that sign up there.
Oh, yeah. Beware of fire-breathing dragon. Run, do not walk. This notice required by law.
So that was a sign from Paperback Theater episode that we did.
Fit for a King.
Fit for a King.
Yes.
Which bombed.
We jumped the shark on that one. Up until that one, we did a couple of episodes, and they did really well, and everybody was happy with them. And then we did that last one, and oh my gosh.
And in retrospect, when we came back to the studio after we had a total bomb on that, we realized that it was an episode that fat shamed.
Oh, yeah, it did. Well, they were paper bags, though.
Made fun of illiteracy.
Well, I was overweight at the time, and I still can't spell correctly. So either way, these are all just, I'm making fun of myself.
And the joke behind that sign was that none of the paper bag characters could read.
Oh, that's right.
So they'd walk away. They would run so the dragon would get them.
I forgot about that. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, that was a rough episode. I still think it's funny, but
I think that it was funnier to us. I think because there was a lot of inside jokes. I think. But.
Yeah.
So this is some of the shelves. This is back in the day of the prop room. There's actually a rotary phone right there. Remember the days of rotary phones?
Oh yeah. Course.
It would take you forever to dial anything, and then if you screwed up, you had to start all over again. And then you would go through that whole process, and then you would hear like, and the person was on the other line.
That's why I never called anyone.
Yeah.
Ever.
I like to think that's why nobody ever called me. Notice, are any of these shoes yours?
No, none of those are mine.
We have a fair collection of shoes. I think we got about 40 pairs now of shoes.
Those might be my roller skates.
I don't think that's your size.
Well,
yours are much bigger.
Back when I was a professional roller skater.
Yep.
Yeah.
Remember your cowboy boots?
Yeah. May they rest in peace.
Pieces.
Yeah. We had an intern here who was recording footfalls and wanted to do cowboy boots. We didn't have cowboy boots in the prop room.
But you did.
But I had a pair. Nice suede pair of cowboy boots. I had for like 10 years. Beautiful boots.
Beautiful.
Loved them.
Beautiful boots.
Brought them in, gave them to the intern. And, they didn't fit his feet. So, it's, just put your hands in them and use them that way. Because that's what we would tell the interns and stuff to do is, use your hands if you can't use your feet. No problem. So, end of day, I go to look for my boots, can't find them. He says, they're in the prop room, which is already a treasure hunt. You go in there, although they should have been in the shoe bin, but they were in the shoe bin, and I went in there and found them. He had cut them in half so he could have more mobility with his arms.
Because he couldn't fit his feet into them, so he cut them in half to put his hands in there.
Yes, yeah. And I was like, what did you do?
Oh, my God.
Oh, I was so mad. I was so, But that was, what is that?
Well, it just so happens.
You don't still have them, do you?
I went through the prop room, and I think I actually found these. I think these are yours.
Those are him. Those are them right there. He didn't even cut them in half. I mean, he cut them.
Look at these guys. Look.
I loved these boots.
They are cut all Oh, my gosh.
That's what he did.
They are. They're nice suede, too.
Yeah. Yeah, and he just so he can put his hands in them.
I got to find a spot somewhere on one of these shelves. We got to keep these in this room.
So now I'm angry.
Man, you got big feet. What size are you?
No, I'm only a 10.5.
Are you really?
Yeah.
I'm a 10. I'm a 9.5 in Converse, which is the only thing I really wear. But, yeah, you know how hard it is to find half sizes?
You know how hard it is to find half size or half of a cowboy boot? You may have the only pair.
Oh, my goodness. Interns.
Oh, I never forget that.
Yeah. And then finally I started putting everything in bins because I got sick of looking for everything.
Right.
So then everything became more organized.
Yeah. There's our burning cross.
You remember, oh, my gosh. I actually have a close-up of it. So check this out. So this thing, we use this. We would put like cotton and we would staple or, put nails in it on the ends of it. So the very top and then the two sides.
Right.
And then we would douse the cotton with lighter fluid and then we would light it on fire and then we would swing it back and forth and we make these great flame whooshes.
Yeah.
It's a really good way of doing it. But your neighbors,
yeah,
all your neighbors see is you with a flaming cross.
Yeah, waving around like a maniac in your garage.
So now, after we noticed that, we started using we use like rakes or things that have like multiple prongs.
Yes.
So that yeah.
But that is a great way to get flame whishes.
Oh yeah. And we did that in
fantastic.
season 6. Actually, we used a rake. Boris, one of my interns, put together a rake and just lit all of the prongs on fire, and it made these great fire wishes. Here's some more props here.
There's a lot of garbage picking involved in these props.
Actually, it wasn't garbage picking so much as it was garbage rescuing. We would find things that people were gonna throw out,
right.
And say, "I don't know, hold on, we can take that."
Yeah, I mean, everybody was always bringing something that they found.
You see now in the not in the desert, in the background, I guess, of this picture, you can see you see the white PVC pipe.
Yeah.
Just to the left of that is there's a piece of wood planks or whatever. That was actually part of Sean's swing set when he was growing up, and that thing had sat outside for 10 years. And the weather had gotten to it, and so I dismantled it to throw away a swing set because he'd outgrown it. And I was like, I got to keep this because when you lay it down and walk on it, it sounds like a pirate ship.
Yeah.
There's all these creaks and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, so we kept that. I still have that, actually.
You still have that?
I still have, all these props are still there.
You really don't throw anything away, do you?
No, I think I'm going to. I have my eyes on a school that I might gift this stuff to help kids, record with these props
idea.
and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Oh, remember the
So those. I'll never forget this. I'll never forget this as long as I live.
Oh, boy.
Wait, what are we talking about?
I think I know what you're going to talk about.
So, there was this big production, and it was the story of Jonah. Is that right? Jonah and the whale?
Yes.
But told as a pirate story.
Yes.
And you took it upon yourself. All 300 pounds of it.
Yes, I was 300 solid at that time.
Took it upon yourself to be the star of this show. But not just the star, but do the choreography, everything.
Yes.
Everything involved in it. You took it all upon yourself and said, I'm going to make it the most fantastic spectacle ever. And it was a spectacle.
It was a spectacle. Yes, it was.
Because
mission accomplished.
You would practice these sword moves and these choreographed sword moves and stuff, sword fights.
We did
a
full-on stunt fight for 3 minutes in front of a
like
crowd.
Raiders of
hundreds
the
of people.
Lost Ark,
Yeah, it was
Disney
full
World
on
or MGM, whatever it was. And you would fight you would do this and do this and do this. And I can remember I remember the moment where you realized I have made a horrible mistake, and it was like well into the
halfway through the show.
And because before it was just done in pieces, practice and everything. So then the first rehearsal, and you're in the middle of this stunt spectacular going on, and I could see the look in your eye like, oh my God, what am I doing?
Holy Christmas. I ran out of breath. Do you remember that? During the production, I'm in front of hundreds of people. I'm on a pirate ship. So they actually they brought in they had the mast and the sails and the whole 9 yards. And I'm surrounded by 20 pirates. We just finished this 3.5 minute
drenched in
choreographed
sweat.
fight scene. It was, you know what? We never missed a single beat during the show. I mean, it was flawless.
It was. It was a good production.
But it literally sucked every ounce of air out of me.
Almost died.
And so as soon as it was done, everybody started clapping. It got real quiet. They're waiting for me to talk, and all I said was, I walked away. I'm like, you guys all talk amongst yourselves. I'm like, oh my God. It was like Vince Neil on the opening night of their farewell tour. It was like,
oh my gosh!
Oh, it was.
I remember at one point, you're jumping down on the side.
Oh my God!
Jumping down, and you're swinging the sword, and the look in your eye, I was like. And I remember after that show, you said, "If I ever come up with an idea like that again, please talk me out of it."
That sounds like something I would have said. Yeah, sometimes I need to be rescued from myself.
Yes. And those are the swords from that. Because you had to have real swords.
Yeah, I don't know. You know what it was is when you banged them together. It was the sound.
And they're heavy.
They are
real
heavy.
Swords are heavy.
They are real swords. We used those on several sound effect libraries, too, because they made great scraping sounds and all that kind of stuff. But
because they're real swords.
Because, of course, they sound real. It's because they're real. Yep. So, where are we at here? So check this out. So, here's the bin of light bulbs. So nothing ever got thrown out. Anytime a light would go bad, I would put it in the bin.
Sure.
Same thing with bottles of wine or any kind of bottles that we would normally recycle or throw out. Not throw out, but recycle. And we would bring them down into Foley, and then we would smash them. I think in that room, we smashed easily thousands of panes of glass.
And then we'd save all the pieces.
And then we saved all the pieces, absolutely. And we saved them as debris.
Uh-huh.
Yep. And then if you look, this is the room completely empty. But if you look, you can see the gashes and the bangs in the floor.
Oh, we tore that floor
We
apart.
dropped so much stuff.
We'd have to repaint that floor like every 6 months.
We would once a year. Once a year. When we brought in a new group, we would repaint and reset. But we brought we brought all sorts of stuff in there. We brought car parts, car hoods, and car doors.
Oh, remember just trying to silence that room.
Yep.
Oh, that was a nightmare.
Yep. That room, it's double walls. It's got insulation, like 9.5 inches of insulation on each wall.
Yeah.
So there's technically 18 inches of insulation between the outside of that room and then the room itself, crammed together. Then we put sound blankets all around the room, 2 layers of that. And then on top of that, we put all the foam.
All the foam, yeah.
Yep. And then there's, of course, us smashing vegetables.
That was always horrible.
Well, this is what
that's like the worst thing that I think we would ever do in that Foley room.
Was what, vegetables?
With vegetables.
It's funny
because of the smell.
You see this picture right here? This picture represents the day that I got the idea for having interns. I'm like, I got to clean all this stuff up. Interns.
Brilliant.
And then that became that was probably happened that way.
But the smell.
It would smell in that room for days.
Oh, it was disgusting.
Yeah.
And mind you, this is a room where we recorded farts, and still the vegetables were the worst.
The vegetables overpowered the farts. That's true. Yep.
Fun time in Foley, recording farts and vegetables.
And the juice from the vegetables and the fruit would go everywhere. It'd be all over the mics. It'd be in the foam. I bet you there's still at least a couple of pumpkin seeds somewhere on the wall to this day. But we did our best to clean it up. But yeah,
it stinks so bad.
That was the birth of internships.
That makes sense.
Yep. And then, of course, we have our very first intern before we started the actual internship programs, and that's John Borland.
John Borland.
We called him Chandler.
Because he looked like Chandler.
Chandler
from
Bing
Friends.
from Friends. Yeah. Absolutely. You can't look at that guy and not think that that's not like Matthew Perry's little brother.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as I remember when he came in for an interview, and that's like the first thing that we said. Did anybody ever tell you look like Chandler from Friends? And he was like, yeah.
Yeah. Like every day.
Well, guess what? That's your new name.
Exactly. Chandler.
Yeah. Everybody got a nickname, whether they wanted it or not.
And Chandler, had these. See, he's wearing shorts and what are those shoes called? Those aren't Crocs.
No,
they're
it's a little slip-on.
Yeah, whatever they are.
Old man shoes. I have those shoes.
Yeah,
now.
old man shoes is a good way of putting it. But he wore this is his
every
outfit.
day.
Yep, in the winter.
It's his uniform.
It'd be like 2 feet of snow in Detroit, and he would show up in his shorts.
I bet he still dresses like that.
I bet he does actually.
I wonder if he dresses his kids like that too.
I seen him. It's been a few years since I seen him. Actually, but last time I saw him, I think he was still wearing shorts. That's him recording.
Body hits.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. He was great.
Yeah. He actually came up with the idea to record the library bugs. Oops, that's actually the punch sound. Forgot about those.
Let's do that. Play it again.
You want that one again?
So early on in my career, I was working for a company called Motor City Productions, and I was a creative director there. And we were doing a commercial for this. I forget what the company was, and anyway, the name of the company, it was like Big Time Charlie's and whatever. And at the end of it went. It made that sound. We made it sound like that. So yeah, Big Time Charlie's. And it went out that way. The commercial went out that way, and we laughed hysterically every time we heard it. That we decided that we were going to sneak that sound into every commercial we did.
Oh,
and we
really?
Did.
That was like your Wilhelm scream.
Yes, we put that. Always in there, and we just laugh hysterically because nobody ever knows it. Clients never noticed it or anything. It was my favorite sound.
There it is. We were recording in this room, in the Foley room, and we were doing something. He wanted to do a science fiction library or something, and so we were like trying
Chandler
to find.
Did?
Yeah, he wanted to record because at one point we weren't working on an actual project at the time, and I said, "Well, what do you want to do today?" He's like, "Oh, I want to try to work on some sci-fi sounds to play with." So we were trying to figure out props to record in the room. I can't even remember what we were recording, but. We go in the room, and as we're recording, we start to notice there's this fly buzzing around the room. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, this is obnoxious. And I'm like, well, we can't record because you know me, I'm like a purist. I'm like, I want the room to be super quiet. So I'm like, all right, well, we got to take a few minutes and get the fly out of the room. And he's like, wait a minute, I got a better idea. He says, why don't we put up an Omni mic in the middle of the room and then just hit record, walk away, and then let it roll for a few hours and see what happens. And sure enough, we did that. We let the mic roll for a couple hours, and sure enough, at some point, the fly actually and then landed right on the microphone. I don't know if I have a sound of it, but that began the project Bugs.
Bugs, I remember Bugs.
We said, let's go find more bugs to record. So we found we went and got grasshoppers and we got not grasshoppers, we got crickets. We went and got crickets at the pet food supply.
Yeah, I remember we lost one in the Foley room.
Yep.
And it was like months later.
I don't think it was months, but it was. I think it was like a week or two.
Like,
was it tweet tweet? Yep.
Did you hear that?
I think
there's a cricket in there somewhere.
I got the bug. There's the crickets. So we recorded one of them, and then we would layer them. But we recorded them a bunch of times. Like we put them through work. We let them like one more time.
And they're not unionized.
They're not union, so they don't need breaks.
Right.
But we recorded a bunch of them, and then we layered them, and then made like a whole bunch of beds. This is a hornet's nest.
Yeah. All right. That's not.
All right. That's the fly. There it is. So this is the actual fly landing on the microphone. This began this library. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Beautiful.
You can actually hear his feet like actually landing on the microphone, but
700 HD sound effects.
Yep. HD.
That was the buzzword.
That was the buzzword. But it was great because I started recording everything in 16-bit on DAT, and then we went to HD. Yeah, so that was kind of fun going from DAT tape to hard disk. I spent the first 2 years of my life, of my career, buying all this gear, and then like 2 years later, it was completely outdated. Had to buy everything all over again. At least the recorders. Microphones last forever, but. So then we came up with the idea of doing this. So we're like, all right, we got these bug sounds. Now we got to do the Foley sounds. For the insects. So I put these pen caps and I taped them to the tip of my fingers. And I brought a bunch of props out and not props, but surfaces for me to move my fingers through. Here's some sounds. And then, we brought in like an earth mix, and you can hear.
I want to point out that in this picture, if you look at it, those are Rick's hands, and he's breaking the number one cardinal
I knew you were going to do this. I knew you were going to do this.
The number one rule.
Stop you right here, Mr. Allison. All right, go ahead.
Take off your jewelry.
All right. In my defense, I didn't actually record with the jewelry on. We recorded the whole day of all these cool sounds, and at the end of it, I'm like, guys, we should take a picture of how this works. So I went back down into Foley, and I retaped the pen caps to my fingers, and I took a picture, and I posted it on Facebook. Hey, guys, I thought of this new idea. First comment, dude, you should never record with jewelry on. I'm like, I did it, honestly. I got so much guff from that dude.
That's funny.
You're recording with jewelry on. You're not supposed to do that. I didn't actually record with the jewelry on, but I don't hear any jewelry in those sound effects. That's all I'm saying. All and of course, that led to one.
Rode University.
This? So when Chandler was here, we produced the very.
This was a big deal.
This was the second semester for Rode University. So up until then, they did the first semester was recording in the studio with their microphones, and then the second semester they asked us to show how to use the microphones for film and television production. So I actually.
Well,
go ahead.
The question is, though, I mean, because it's quite a leap there. I mean, how was that relationship established with Rode to a point where they would get, hey, let's put you on Rode University?
Well, actually, what had happened was there's a story,
but at that point we haven't had any type of sponsorship or anything like that.
Well, actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. This is how it really happened. So this is me recording at a creek. With Rode microphones, with a Rode mic in the blimp.
Right.
So it started off like this. I was looking for good mics. Charles Maines actually was the sound designer who tipped me off to Rode. I was looking for mics, and I was brand new to the industry.
Right.
And obviously he's a veteran, so I was so thrilled that he would even take my call. But he would jump on the phone and chat with me, and he met with me a couple of times, and he says, "You should try Rode microphones." And I remember the very first thing I said was, "Are you sure? Because they're available at Guitar Center and they're not that expensive." And he kind of laughed and he goes, Don't listen with your eyes, listen with your ears. Listen to the sound of the mic. Don't worry about the price. And so I started listening to the mics, and I'm like, wow, these are pretty good quality. For the price, I'm like, oh my gosh, these things are amazing mics. And so I started buying Rode mics just because it was in my budget and it was great quality. I'm like, this is perfect, and I can use this to kind of help promote the book to people that are looking for new products. I know that a lot of these guys can't go out and buy a $2,000 microphone, but they could go and buy a $400 or $500 microphone that sounded just as good.
Right.
And what really sold me on Rode's products was this. We had a microphone. You should remember this story. We had an NT4. It was a stereo mic.
Yeah.
And we sent a crew out. We were not going to name the crew. We'll give them the names Beavis and Butthead. Mm-hmm. But we sent these two guys out to record with it, and they were recording by a creek, and the microphone fell over into the creek. And you can actually hear the water entering into the blimp, and then all of a sudden, it just completely cuts out. So embarrassed at the fact that they had basically killed the mic, they didn't say anything. They thought it would dry out. They put it back on the shelf. And then a week later, one of the editors comes to us and says, "Hey, I think there's a problem with your microphone." We're like, "What's going on?" So we started noticing that there was clicking sounds in the mic because there was a damage to the diaphragm or whatever. So we go back in the recordings, and sure enough, we find the recording of them talking and goofing around.
Right. And
then you can actually hear the mic fall over, and then you could hear the mic get destroyed. And if I remember right, I think it was you who looked at them and said, because neither of them would admit to doing it, and then you basically said, "One of you guys is getting fired right now." And as soon as you said that, the other one went, "He did it. I was in the truck having a cigarette." It's instant turncoat, no allegiance whatsoever to his buddy. He's like, "This guy did it."
Yeah.
But I called up Rode, and I said, "Listen, man, we dropped one of your mics into a river." I'm like, "There's nothing wrong with the actual mic, but I think that, the diaphragm or something got damaged. We need to get it repaired. Where can I send this to get repaired?" And the guy on the other end of the phone started laughing. He goes, "Don't worry about it. We'll send you a new one." And I'm like, wait a minute. No. Let me explain this again. I dropped the microphone into the water. This wasn't like you guys didn't do anything wrong. It's not a default or a faulty product. And they said, no, don't worry about it. We believe in our customers. And they sent me a brand new mic to replace it. And from that moment on, I'm like, this is the company I want to do business with.
Sure,
absolutely. And I've been doing business with these guys for, it's got to be close to 15 years now.
Well, they make great products. We're using Rode microphones right now.
Actually, these are Rode microphones, yeah.
So, yeah.
But before they even knew who I was or what I was working on, I was just cold calling as a customer saying, I got a damaged product. They're like, no, we'll send you a new one. And to this day, they still have that policy where they take care of their customers. And so that was really kind of what hooked me in.
Well, it's also because they're behind their product. They stand behind it. Even if it is your fault, they're like, yeah, no big deal.
Yep.
We know we're the best.
And then I use since then, I take their mics all over the place. This is me actually I'm literally in the middle of nowhere. I'm 9 hours north of where we're at here in the Upper Peninsula. I'm in the middle of the woods recording amazing insect sounds, and there just happened to be this post sitting right there in the middle of the woods, so I use that to put my bag on. But
remember that time? Remember that time we sent a guy out? This is before interns. These are actual employees. We sent the guy out to record night sounds in the woods, and so we hear we're going through the files, and we wouldn't go through files for like a month or so later because there was just so many, and we hear the start of the recording, and then we hear the microphone move.
Oh, that's right.
And then we hear him taking a leak.
You heard the zipper.
Yeah, you hear the leak, and then you hear the microphone move back to position.
You can actually hear the stereo image shifting.
Yeah, and then we pull the message. It's not like a camera. You know that, right?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about that. Yeah, I do remember that. That. Yeah, these are all Rode mics that we're using here. Let's see. Pretty much everything we did in the video diaries, that was pretty much all that stuff was Rode mics. They gave us a whole ton of stuff to use with the kids and interns and all that. I actually got a clip. I think Chandler's in this, but this is a clip from Rode University.
Oh my gosh!
This is the This is the outtakes. This is the blooper reel.
I haven't seen this stuff in I don't know how long.
Well, let's watch it.
Since we did it.
This was 10 years ago.
Wow.
This was 2019. Or no, 2009. Yeah.
It's 2019.
Sounds good. You can actually see, look at that, all that condensation on that mic. That's not good for a microphone. Don't try this at home unless you got an NTG3. Can you really see me come out of the freezer?
Yes.
Okay.
No, I can't. As you said, don't break the equipment.
Fuzzy, you've been snuggling.
Making out with Pat.
He's been snuggling with the wombat from the blimp.
We can't shoot unless the PA is happy. Chris, are you happy?
Yeah.
Okay. Happy PAs mean happy video.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep.
Boy, that's a long time ago.
That was 10 years ago. 10 years ago.
That was fun. That was fun though.
We
had a blast doing that stuff.
That was the beginning of a lot of stuff. We did a ton of videos. We ended up doing, I can't remember, like 12 or 13 videos or something.
For university?
For Rode University. Yeah.
Yeah, because then from Rode University we went on to Road Rage.
Yeah. We did a bunch of stuff after that. And then from there, that's when the floodgates opened up. We started getting calls, and we really started to get a lot of production. Yeah. I have...
They started putting your face on their
they
stickers.
Did. Yeah, actually, I have that here. They
They didn't tell you?
No, I didn't know. I was in New York.
Yeah, right.
I was in New York with Colin Hart, who's another sound recordist / sound designer, and so we were there, and we looked down, and they had like cases of stuff. I think I have other ones. Like, this is me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no idea it was going to be on the front of this.
And then at that point, I was like, well, you got to keep the soul patch now.
Oh, my. Yeah, at this point, I was branded. I'm like, no one's going to know me if I shave this thing off my face. Let me tell you something. You think your friends make fun of you for what you do. Wait till your face is on all these boxes. I got so much.
What that started you're a minor celebrity.
That's exactly, I'm like, yes, that's exactly where the birth of minor celebrity came from.
Every time you'd say, I said, well, of course, you're a minor celebrity.
Because I looked famous because my face was everybody, but nobody had any idea.
Nobody knew.
Nobody knew who I was. I was like, I'm a minor celebrity. And Chandler used to give me guff for it all the time. He thought it was the biggest. He thought it was the funniest thing. Rick Viers.
Yeah.
He'd walk around. Rick Viers.
I'm Rick Viers. I'm
Rick Viers. Well, every show.
I think we have video footage of him actually doing that.
I do. I have. I got a clip I'm going to show in a second. But every episode, I would have to start off by going, I'm Rick Viers, because I'd have to start. I'd have to introduce who we are and what we're doing. I'm Rick Viers, and here we are. And
now you don't have to do that.
No, I don't. You know why? Because we have titles.
Yeah,
Good
when
horse.
you just go, you know who I am.
Exactly.
Let me tell you this.
The patch speaks for itself. No, but this is actually, I got a clip of Chandler mocking me. It starts off with me introducing myself. I'm Rick Viers. I'm Rick Viers. Here we go. I'm Rick Viers. Yes, I am. I'm Rick Viers, sound designer and author. Hey, what's the name of my book? Sound Effects Bible. Sound Effects Bible. Oddly enough, I have not read this book yet.
I'm Rick Viers. Hurdy, hurdy, hurdy.
I'm not a celebrity, so I gotta keep telling people my name.
It's true.
I was the guy in the kitchen before. I'm Rick Viers.
I'm Rick Viers.
Rick Viers, Rick Viers, Rick Viers.
Rick Viers, Rick Viers, Rick Viers.
That was a lot of fun doing that. I remember that fondly.
Yep.
Road University was a blast.
Yeah, that was that.
Might I say it was a blast.
Oh
Hey.
God, here we go. I enjoyed working with sponsors on many levels. I started off with sponsors because they would help me. They would help my interns.
Sure.
So this was like a way for me to help my kids get started. They would donate all this gear, and then we would give them away to the interns at the end of the
Right.
seasons. But I have this. So this, one of my very first. Actually, I think this may have been my very first sponsor was Sony. I think. This is back in the day when it was owned by a company called Sonic Foundry, but then they got bought out by Sony.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but all of my stuff throughout my entire sound effects career, every sound effect I ever mastered was mastered in SoundForge.
So yeah, and so during the Detroit Chop Shop days, well, we became a Sony house.
Correct. Yeah.
At the same time, the entire industry is going to Pro Tools.
Correct. Yeah.
And so there was this clash that was going on, and we would always tell people, no, we are a Sony house. We are a Sony house.
We didn't. I didn't use Pro Tools. There was a lot of reasons why I didn't use Pro Tools. Not that there's, I mean, obviously, not that there's anything wrong with it, but
not at all. But
for what I do, didn't make sense for me to use Pro Tools. You had to render things out in real time, and all these. There was a lot of drawbacks, and I'm like making tens of thousands of sound effects at a time. Sometimes for some of these, projects, I don't have time to sit there and go through their workflow. Whereas with SoundForge and the Sony products, I was able to scoot through the projects pretty fast. So.
Also, mind you, being sponsored by Sony goes a long way.
That's true. That did help. They ended up. I did a bunch of stuff with them. They would bring me out to Vegas for their shows. This is them announcing they did the Detroit Chop Shop sound effects series, and they would actually include sound effects in their products. So you would buy their software like Vegas or Acid. I don't think it came with Acid, but SoundForge, and it would actually come with sound effects that we produced for them. I actually have check this out. So I have a. I think you may have shot this. You remember the commercial that we shot for Sony?
Maybe. I don't know.
We shot a commercial for this. Here it is right here. Okay, car crash, take one. I'm Rick Viers, author of the Sound Effects Bible, and I'm here to tell you about the new Detroit Chop Shop sound effects series from Sony Creative Software. All the sounds are real.
No, I didn't shoot that. That wasn't me.
All right, let's do one more. You didn't shoot that?
No, that was after me.
Okay, that one. Oh, no, you were still here. This was during season 2.
Was it really?
That was Connor, and I think that was Adam's car that we used. Remember, Connor shot season 2.
Dude, I'm getting old.
Well, it's okay. We have pictures.
Okay,
to
good.
bring back, jog your memory. But yeah, and that was the. So then Sony released the Detroit Chop Shop sound effects series, and then they started including that in their product line.
I think that probably at that point, because early on, as producer and doing a lot of on the ground stuff and office stuff, and I think by that point I was strictly just office producing.
Yeah, no, that's what you never went in the field at that point.
Yep.
I think once we started with season 1, you started staying back at the studio,
I
and then
started
we would
pulling
go
back
out
a little bit more because there was a lot more paperwork to do and a lot more.
It was a lot of coordinating because we were going to multiple locations throughout the week. Yeah. So then Sony would have me come out. Here's something that I always thought was kind of cool. So when I would do these presentations for Sony, the guys that would work there, they would come in. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh, how are you doing all these shortcuts?" Because they would see me edit, and I would hardly ever touch the mouse. So the whole time I would be cutting, I would be have my fingers on the keyboard, and they're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm using the shortcut keys." Because you could program your own shortcuts in SoundForge. So I came up with my own system on how to create shortcut keys. And so when I was editing, I hardly ever touched the mouse. The mouse was literally just to position and maybe to select, but beyond that, everything else was done with my fingers.
Right.
And so what they would do is they would have me do these presentations, and if you look right here, you can see this camera. They would put a camera over my shoulder down at the keyboard, and then while I would be editing, they would have a feed so that the people could see what I was doing with my hands.
Let's find out his secret.
That's true. Yep, no, it's true. That's me working on SoundForge. This was during NAB, I think. Yep.
NAB.
Then, of course, we had the headphones that we're wearing here are actually provided by Direct Sound. They actually made Detroit Chop Shop ones for us, and we gave these out to the interns. And so this is during season 6. They're wearing the headphones rather. Yeah. But the cool thing, like I said, about having sponsors was it provided us with a bunch of equipment that we could use with the interns and show the kids how to use the gear. And then at the end of the seasons, we were able to give them the gear so they could go start their career. So this is us recording fireworks in the middle of the Upper Peninsula.
So if you came to the Detroit Chop Shop as an intern, you walked away with gear at the end of your internship.
It was the least I could do. This is actually us 365 feet below the surface of the earth.
Is that at the salt mine?
No, this is the Quincy mine up in the Upper Peninsula.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then I have, let's see here. Of course, we would use the gear. We would have the kids come in and we would shoot the interviews throughout the show, but we would use Rode microphones stuff.
Sure.
We'd use Sony cameras and the whole 9 yards, and so the kids got a chance to use all the gear. This is Phantom. Yeah, just about everything you see there was brought to us by our sponsors. Yeah. And then Tascam came in and started providing recorders for us. I actually did a promo for...
Yeah, I remember this.
This is the Tascam promo.
I remember the first time you showed me that. What do you think about this?
Let's see what else we got here. Oh, remember now? All right, so Sony was
in hindsight, that picture should have been of your rear end, and it says "make some noise."
That's a different sound effects collection. But I don't know if you remember this. This is this was a Sony event that they did out in Vegas. And when I was at the event, they had a VIP event before the main event. And so a bunch of us went in the back room. We're all like kind of, everybody's drinking wine and hanging out and all that stuff. And it's all the suits and the executives from Sony. And I look around the room and there's this one dude with long hair and, and a jean jacket. Guess who I'm going to go hang out with, right? So I go over and I waltz over to this dude and we started talking and we're getting along, and a few minutes later, I noticed that there's like a group of people that are surrounding us. And I'm like, we're still having a conversation, but we're both kind of noticing that people are kind of like edging in on us. And I had spent the week doing presentations for Sony, and I was doing a book signing. And so people around the Sony booth knew who I was. So I'm like, okay, these people are here because of my book. I'm like rolling my eyes. And then finally, I'm chatting with the guy, so I'm like, so, he's got long hair. You got to ask the obvious question. I'm like, so, do you play? Mm-hmm. And as I said this, like, everybody in the group just went, oh, no. My God. And immediately I realized, I'm like, I just said something pretty stupid. I'm like, why are you guys laughing at me? And then finally I dawned on me. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, dude. Who are you? And he wouldn't tell me who he was. And then finally somebody in the crowd says, that's Rudy Sarzo. And I'm like, you're Rudy Sarzo? And he went, yeah. And I'm like, I don't know who Rudy Sarzo is. And finally, I ended up finding out who he was. All the bands that he had played with. He did stuff with Whitesnake and did stuff with Ozzy Osbourne and all that. And he got such a kick out of the fact that I didn't recognize who he was. So he and I ended up sitting together during the presentation. We saw each other throughout the week. And he hooked us up with, remember the Monster Circus?
Monster Circus, yes.
So it was like an all-star rock and roll review, and
but it was a private event.
Yeah, I mean they had where was it at?
It was at
the Hilton, wasn't it?
The Hilton, yeah.
And they had band members from one of the guys that used to play with Motley Crue. What was it, John Corabi?
Yeah.
They had guys from
Quiet Riot,
Guns N' Roses. I'm trying to think of who else they had.
Quiet
Dee
Riot.
Snider, obviously.
Dee Snider,
in fact, I got a picture. This is me with Rudy here, and then let's see. Here's it's really pixelated, but here's me and you with Dee Snider.
Yeah, so Dee does his Twisted Sister songs, and then we hook up with him outside the theater, and the first thing we say to him is, "Listen, we're really disappointed in the show."
Exactly.
Those are the first
I
words we
remember
said to
that.
him.
I remember telling him that.
And he went, "Why?" We said, "Well, because you never said
what do you want to do with your life?"
Yeah, yeah. And then he yelled it at that point.
That's right. What are you going to do with your life?
Right.
And we're like, well, if you'd asked us 20 years ago, we'd have said, I want to rock.
Yeah.
But right now, I just want to keep up with my healthcare bills and live a responsible life. Get to bed at a decent hour.
Yeah.
This is what he used to look. This is what Dee Snider looked like when I was growing up.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So he was clearly he was the face of Satan.
That was a fun show too.
And this is me. This is a picture of me. Praying that Dee Snider doesn't send me to hell. Oh, Lord, please help me and protect me from the rock stars. But the funniest part of the whole story was this. So I met Rudy in Vegas, and then a couple years later, I'm in LA. I'm at NAMM, at the NAMM show, and I literally walked in the building. I just got into the venue. I'm still like messing with my lanyard, making sure the right side is facing out. And as I do, I look up and there's a crowd of people coming toward me. And in front of, they're all kind of chasing after Rudy. And there's Rudy. And I lift up my hand, and before I could say, "Hey, what's up, Rudy?" He goes, "Rick Viers." Like he remembered who I was. And everybody around him was like, "Who's this Rick Viers guy?" But
I'm a minor celebrity.
I'm a minor celebrity. There's that. So there's me with Rudy. Yep.
No, that's you with D.
No, oh, hey, there's Rudy. I'm looking at a different screen. Yeah. Yep. Yes, there's me with Rudy. And then this is me at the Tascam booth. There's the picture they ended up using. They didn't use the Make Some Noise Motley Crue tribute. But they used that one over in the corner. And then, of course, Make Some Noise. That was the latest book I did. We did a book signing there at Tascam. But do you know where the catchphrase Make Some Noise came from?
No.
Of course you wouldn't. You are actually the one who came up with the catchphrase "Make Some Noise."
What?
When we were shooting the
Where are my royalty checks?
When we were shooting the Road University videos, I didn't know how to close each episode, and I'm like, "What am I supposed to say? Like, see you next time, or thanks, happy recording?" And you just said, "I don't know, make something up, like make some noise." That's exactly what I think. We have an outtake, I'm sure somewhere,
perfect.
but you went, "Make some noise." And I'm like, "There you go. That'll be the send-off or the sign-off." And so every video we did for Road, we would say, "Make some noise," and that kind of became the
catchphrase.
The catchphrase. And of course, that was the latest book. There's Sean. Oh my God, he's so small there.
Make some noise for teens.
Yeah. And then, of course, here's the interns getting some of the gear. Over the years, we've given, at this point, it was over $250,000. It's more now that the sponsors and Chop Shop have been able to give away to the interns to help them get started. Yeah. Yep. So I believe in sponsors just because it was a way for me to help the kids get started with their career.
Well, because you remember what it's like when we're all starting out and you had nothing.
So you got to look at it from my perspective. When I started, I had to go to my dad and have him co-sign for a loan so that I could buy my first recording package. It was a mixer, a recorder. It was a DAT recorder, and then a shotgun mic, a couple of lavs, a boom pole, and a bag. I think that was it. And it was well over $10,000 worth of stuff. And I just got out of college. I can, I'm still trying to make ends meet with the apartment. And so I had to go to my dad. I had a gig to record some sound effects. And I'm like, look, I can pay this off like in a matter of a month or two. I think this project will work out. And so he ended up co-signing for my first gear package. And I paid it off before the very first bill was due. I was able to pay it off, but nonetheless, I remember not having enough money to purchase my own gear.
Well, when I was in college, I took this is back when now every university has a film program, it seems, because they have digital editing and all this kind of stuff. Well, back then, if you took a film program class, it was all about film theory, writing, and things like that, unless you went to like USC or Vancouver or Full Sail, which was a technical school at that time back in the early 90s. And so I took a job as an apprentice editor just so I had access to an editing bay so I could learn how to edit, because that was the only way you could. And all I did was I just run tapes and I'd run film and stuff, and that's all I did, and watch this guy and ask questions all the time. Did that for like 8-9 months just to learn how to do it. You couldn't go out and buy one.
Yeah, that was, you had hardware was involved in editing. Nowadays it's a laptop.
Right, exactly.
But back in the day there was decks and there was cables involved.
They called it an editing bay.
For a reason.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this is me. Let's see, where are we at? Oh, all right. So, one of the fun things to do with that I was able to do with Rode is they would have me go out and do presentations. This is me. I was at PhotoCon recently. This is me doing a presentation on location sound. Guess who was also there?
Rick Dees. Oh,
The
Frank Kramer?
Laker girls. Really? You saw? You went right to Frank Kramer?
Hey.
The Laker girls were there. Let's see. Oh, that's me doing the book signing.
Sammy's camera.
The Laker girls had a longer line.
I bet.
Yeah. This is me actually at Rode's 50th anniversary. This is in Las Vegas. They did
Wow. 50
They did a
years.
special event. This is me with the CEO, Damien. You remember Damien?
Yeah, I love Damien.
Wilson. Damien's a
I
great
remember
guy.
we were in Manhattan Beach, sitting at the Hilton outside, and we were just out there just shooting a breeze and stuff. And Damien's Australian, and at the time he wasn't CEO.
No.
And
He was the marketing director.
He was the marketing
Yep.
director, and I remember asking him. I said, "Why did you move here, to America?" And he said, "Well, first of all, the hamburgers here are fantastic."
That's totally a Damien thing. Yes.
And so we immediately hit it off with Damien.
He has the absolute best reason to get a tattoo. So he's got some really cool tattoos. There's a couple of tattoos he has that I'm actually mildly jealous of. But the one that I thought was the coolest, I guess, was he's got a pirate ship, like a massive pirate ship, on one of his forearms.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at him. I go, "So what's the purpose of the pirate ship?" And he just looked at me and goes, "'Cause it's cool." I don't need to have a reason to get the tattoo. It's cool. Yeah. So this is actually me and Damien. This is a recent picture, but this is what we looked like back in the day.
Oh, yep. Yep.
Yeah, that's when he was the marketing director.
The marketing director, and his number one reason to move in America was
the burgers,
the hamburgers,
the burgers. So they flew me out for their 50th anniversary. There's me with Peter Friedman, the founder.
Yeah.
Of actually, I think his family started it as Event Electronics. But I got to hang out with him. I met him a few times. This is a true story. The first time I meet him, I'm in LA. I'm there for something completely, I can't remember why. I was something completely different, non-related to Rode. And Damien calls me up and says, "Hey, I know you're in LA. We're going to do this dinner or something, and Peter's going to be there. He'd love to meet you. Would you like to come?" And I said, "Yeah, great." So we go out to this, it's like this really nice Korean restaurant. He books a private room, and there's 12 of us all there. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, I'm going to meet the owner of Rode microphones. And at this point, I'd been using their stuff for almost 10 years. And this was a thing. I did videos for these guys and all that. And I'm in my hotel room, and I'm like, I can't wear my hat, because I always wore my knit hat. Like that was the thing I was wearing back then. In fact, I got a picture.
That's good. Yeah.
There's my knit hat.
Well, they branded you.
Yeah, pretty much, because they do that cartoon, so everybody knew me as the guy with the hat on, right? And so I felt it was going to be disrespectful if I showed up with the hat on, because we're going to this nice Korean restaurant. So I'm like, I'll just do my hair. So I styled my hair. Well, my hair was too long. And because it'd been, I'd waited too long to get a haircut. So my hair is so straight, if I don't cut it, it's too long. It just falls over. So there I am in my hotel room, prepping to get ready, knowing I'm getting ready to meet the CEO. So I'm like, what do I do with my hair? So I literally took a pair of scissors and I'm like cutting my hair to make it. Oh, I was freaking out, and I got it to where it looked kind of decent.
With you?
Well, you don't understand. Like, my hair was falling over, and I wanted to dress up for the event. So I show up, and it finally looked pretty decent when I met him. But when I showed up, the very first thing he said was,
"Where's the hat?
How come you're not wearing your hat?"
Yep.
No.
That's what you get.
That's true. That's what I get for not wearing my hat. But one of the things that they did at the 50th anniversary was they gave out these books called Road Trip. Mm-hmm. And it was basically like the 50-year history of Rode microphones. Yeah. And they actually mentioned a few of the things that we did there. They mentioned Rode Uni, and then they mentioned, remember this project here? Road Rage?
That was a lot of fun, too.
So for Road Rage...
That's our trip to LA.
That's the trip to LA. Yeah. So at this point, Chandler is still working with us. Mm-hmm. So I had this idea for a show. I said, why don't we go to LA? And I'm going to contact all of my heroes, all the people that I grew up like idolizing, and see if they'll come on a show and we can interview them and talk about their careers. And so what I really wanted to do is I wanted to go meet all my heroes.
Absolutely.
Like there was guys like, Alan Howarth and Scott Gershon and like, Vanessa Ament, like all these people that I wanted to meet. And I'm like, this was a reason to go out there, meet with them, do a cool video series for Road. So they agreed to it, and they sent us out with Chandler, actually. Yeah. And so at that point, Chandler's internship just ended. And so I have a rule with interns. And the general rule was, I want you here for 3 months.
Yeah.
No more than 3 months. I think if you're there for more than 3 months, it's like it's
too much. It's an unpaid internship.
It's an unpaid internship. We're here to help you guys get started, not to take advantage of your time.
And not to mention, Chandler was from out of state.
He was from Colorado.
That's right. Exactly. So the burden was way too much for us to even consider, but he was so persistent.
Yeah.
That we brought him on, and then at the end of the 3 months, we're like, oh, man, dude, you got to go.
But he talked us into doing a second internship. Yeah. So then he stayed with us for a second internship. So that was 6 months. So then at the end of the 6 months, I'm like, look, it's been fun, but you need to get going. And he's like, I want to go to LA with you guys and do the Road Rage project. So
he was thinking long term.
Well, he's smart. He's like, I want to meet these people too.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, all right, fine. You know what? You can come out. So we flew out to LA. This is actually us at the airport.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
In Detroit.
Oh. Gee whiz.
We were so young. There's you and your baked potato chips.
I was eating healthy then.
I got a close up there.
Oh, that's my Jim Morrison days.
Yes. I actually got a shot of, this is us. I think this was the wrap dinner. This is when we were finished.
Was it?
I think this was at the end. We were saying goodbye.
Where were we?
At a restaurant, I guess, somewhere.
Oh, thanks. Hey, it's Joe V.
Joe V. I actually have I haven't watched this, but I have a road rage. I think this is the behind the scenes or the outtakes reel or something.
Really?
Yeah. So let's fire this. See what this is.
Hollywood, even the bowlers look hot.
What are you doing, John?
Don't look at the camera. There was a big incident a minute ago. The guy dressed up like Christian Bale as Batman just started screaming at everybody. I don't think that's the real one. Don't go in there. You don't want to go in there. Just to play it safe in California, I decided to wear black because it's neutral gang colors. Little piece of California history. All of the buildings around here are actually made out of like styrofoam material so that they can all be imploded or exploded depending on what the scene calls for. Inside of the styrofoam structures are actually just little trailers that they put together that people actually work in. That's Hollywood for you. It's all fake, baby. All fake. Most of these cars aren't even real. They're on a track. They just kind of go around the city. They could shoot around them. I can't prove it, but I think that the wreckage you see over there on the side of the road, I think that's actual debris left over from the Matrix chase scene. They never clean up anything around here. I have to sing it every time I see it. Hollywood! Something, 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 Hollywood. Joe V.
It's Watson Wu right there.
Yeah.
Aaron Marks. There's Alan.
Yeah.
Mangini.
Mark Mangini.
Yep. There's Vanessa. Yeah. David Sonnenschein. Frank Jones. Charles Maines. Yeah. Mike Knott. That's him singing the song right here.
Oh, man.
So I wrote this song that we just heard, but Mike Knott actually came in and did the vocals for it. Yeah.
What I remember when we're down there on Hollywood Boulevard, in front of the Mann's Chinese Theater, and all those people dressed in costumes. Remember the first time, we were videoing, we're doing stuff, and then a couple of them came over and were like with you and stuff, and we're taking pictures, and then we cut, and the guy goes, "That'll be $5." I go, "I'm not giving you $5.
Yep.
You took a picture with me.
Yep.
I didn't take a picture with you."
That's right. They're trained to find. They're like seagulls at the beach, looking for little pieces of bread.
Yeah.
So this is Alan Howarth. He was such a riot.
He was a lot of fun, mainly because this was the biggest deal for me because he worked with Carpenter. And
John Carpenter.
Huge John Carpenter. So he had a lot of John Carpenter stories, but he also, man, he was like really into the science thing of frequencies.
Well, he
and stuff
did.
Like that.
Oh yeah, actually, that's right. I forgot about that. The 432 hertz raw music, I think, was his website.
Yes.
And then of course he did the Steve Lee of the Hollywood Sound Museum actually just posted this a couple days ago. But Alan Howarth did the sounds for the warp drive for the original Star Trek film. He did all that. If I remember right, he used the Prophecy 5 keyboard, if I remember right. But or synthesizer rather. But he also did stuff in Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
When Indy's in the Well of Souls and you can hear the snakes hissing and all that stuff. He made some of those sounds were him. He took a pane of glass, like a big window, and he put masking tape on the window, and he would peel it off, and that was the sound of the snake hisses and all that. Yeah. I got a picture of Steve and I, actually. This is Steve and I actually in Hollywood, outside of Mel's Diner. And I traded him a Chop Shop T-shirt for an Academy Award.
That's a good trade.
Yeah, it was a really good trade, actually. Actually, it's a funny thing. I posted that. I'm like, hey, I'm here at Mel's Drive-In with Steve Lee, and he just traded me the Academy Award for, it was sound editing, actually, for Raiders of the Lost Ark for a T-shirt. And he had to repost and tell everybody that
there was no
didn't
trade.
Actually, because people were like, "How could you do that?" So he goes, "No, guys, look, I still got the shirt and the trophy." But people actually thought that he traded it.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Yep, Mr. Steve Lee. He's a legend in his own right. He's the founder of the Hollywood Sound Museum, and at one point we're going to have him on the show because he's super cool.
Well, you have to because after all, he gave you an Oscar for a T-shirt.
That's right.
So
that's a pretty good deal.
Yeah.
And that brings us back to Mr. Chandler.
Oh, Chandler. Bing.
Chandler.
Oh, Chandler.
When Chandler first contacted us to intern here, he contacted us. It was 7 or 8 times. I want to say it was 8.
It was a lot because I can remember you just going, "This kid won't leave me alone."
I did. I was mildly annoyed because he kept calling and he kept emailing.
And to be fair, he is mildly annoying, right?
It was the shorts.
Absolutely the shorts. It has to be the shorts.
Who
wears shorts in the winter?
Well, actually, he does. I have a picture of the guy right here.
That's what's mildly annoying.
No, but he kept contacting us saying, I want to intern here.
Right.
And I couldn't wrap my head around it. I'm like, dude, you're in Colorado. Like, Hollywood is west.
I know.
Detroit is east.
We couldn't be further away from Hollywood than anywhere.
Yeah, but he's a guy where he knows what he wants, and he's like, nope, this is what I want to do.
And that's, it's been said before. I think he graduated from Vancouver Film School. He went there on a scholarship for sound design. He knew what he wanted, man.
Yeah,
he knew it, and he was going to do it.
Yep. So he came in and he did 2 internships.
2 internships.
So he did, because I limit the internships to 3 months.
3 months.
Anything more than that, I'm like, if I can't teach you in 3 months, then I'm not going to be able to teach you.
Well, and not only that, but it is an unpaid internship.
Yeah. And we want to be fair to the interns as well. We want to teach them what they need to know and then help them get started.
Right. And I mean, there's hardship involved in that. And somebody come from Colorado wasn't a hardship we're willing to accept.
Well, it turns out he had a sister that lives in Detroit, and
Right.
so I think the 9th time he contacted me, it was the 8th time he contacted me. He says, "Listen, I'm coming to Detroit to visit my sister." His wife and him flew out, and he said, can you spare 15 minutes? Can I
Right.
come by the studio and just do a quick interview?" And at that point, I looked at you, and I'm like, I don't know what to do with this guy. And then you're like, why don't you just interview the guy?
come
He
in.
clearly has passion and wants to be here. So he came by and interviewed, and I mean, dude, guys, he's a rock star.
Well, we spent that entire interview trying to talk him out of it. That's what we did.
That's right. I forgot. I forgot about that.
We tried to talk him out of it.
Well, most people think that internships are just free labor. And it's like, well, I mean, if you're going to take advantage of people, yeah. But for me, an internship means that's a person I got to train. That means every single day they show up, I have to have something to teach them or something that they can learn in order to make it worth their while.
It's a healthy burden for a company. Is what it is.
Yeah.
It's a healthy burden for a company. I mean, yes, there's labor involved, but there's a lot of training. There's a lot of hand-holding. I mean, because, they're not someone you can just let off on their own and do stuff. You have to walk them through the steps because they're interning.
Yep.
And we took that very seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he came in, he did 2 back-to-back internships.
Yeah, 6 months.
And then after that, he wanted to come with us on the Road Rage project because he wanted to go out just like me. He's like, I want to go meet your heroes, or though they were his heroes as well.
He's thinking long term.
Yeah. So he wanted to come
He's
out.
getting ready to go into the business. He needs to make connections.
And he did.
He did.
So he did the 7th month with us in LA.
Yeah.
And then we came back, and that's when I looked at him and I'm like, listen, man, you're a rock star. It's been amazing having you here at the Chop Shop.
You gotta go. You gotta go.
Yeah, we need to get you started. What can I do to help you? How can I get you started? And he looked at me. He's like, I want to go to Skywalker Ranch.
Oh, is that all?
I'm like, oh, really? Skywalker Ranch, dude, the line starts behind me.
Right.
I want to go to
No kidding.
Skywalker
Right.
Ranch.
Who doesn't?
But he was like, I want to go to Skywalker. And I knew Randy Tom because he had just did the blurb for the Sound Effects Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And Randy Tom is a titan in his own right.
Huge.
He just celebrated 40 years at Skywalker. I believe his title is the supervising sound designer. But I shot him an email and I said, very humbly, I said, listen, Mr. Randy, I probably will never email and ask you for a favor again, but I've got this guy. He's been phenomenal. I think he'd be a great asset to your team. Would you consider, taking him on? He says, have him contact me.
Right.
So John ended up contacting Randy. They had him come out to Skywalker where he did a summer internship. And then I believe after that, he got hired.
So he did a year's worth of free unpaid internships just to get to his dream.
But now
the tenacity of that man is amazing.
But look at this picture.
Should be bottled
so
up.
This
sold.
picture, this picture is us outside of Skywalker Ranch.
Yeah, right.
So this is actually me visiting him at Skywalker Ranch.
Still wearing those shorts and shoes.
Yep. He's waiting for the first snowfall, I think. But
That's Winter John.
it's also Summer John and Spring John and Fall John. Yes. He only really just had the one outfit.
He is the most comfortable man I know.
Yeah, he's very comfortable. Absolutely. But what's great for me was when he was here, we used to go to the movie theater up the street and watch movies.
Right.
And then we would talk about it afterwards and, talk about the sound design and this, that, and the other. And now I go and I take my kid to the same theater and I look in the credits and then I see, there he is right there under sound effects editors.
Yeah. Yeah, he has been a sound effect editor on Academy Award winning editing teams.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then this is Sean and I going to see opening night for Force Awakens. And of course in the credits,
There he is.
right up there. Yep.
Yeah.
I remember I took a picture of this and then I got out of the theater. And when I got out of the theater, I grabbed the picture and I was texting him. I was going to send him the picture. And before I could hit send, he ended up texting me going, "Did you see my name in the credits?" I'm like, "Yes, I did."
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Someday he will be nominated for an Oscar. He'll be part of an editing team and nominated for an Oscar. His name will be on it.
I'm pretty sure he's going to achieve whatever he wants to achieve.
Absolutely.
In life. Yeah. Because at the reality of it is this: he's at Skywalker because he let me say no 8 times, and yet he still had the guts to ask one more time, "Can I come to the Chop Shop?"
He's at Skywalker because he didn't take no for an answer, and because he wanted it.
Yep.
He had a goal.
Yeah, I mean, I like to take credit for it and go, yeah, I helped him get in there. But the reality is this, dude, I didn't have to be born for him to get to Sky. Yeah, he was going to Skywalker one way or the other.
Anyway. You just happened to be in the path.
And that's the thing, man. You got to know what you want. And you just got to believe that, if you put enough effort behind it, you're going to end up getting there. And this picture right here says it all. I mean, this dude works at Skywalker Ranch.
That's what I tell everybody who's wanting to start out in this business. It's a cliche now. It sounds like, it's about who you know, and it's about networking, and it's about hustling. But all that's true. You could be the most brilliant filmmaker alive, but if nobody knows who you are, and you don't talk to people, and you don't go out and meet people, and you're not willing to just push the envelope on networking and find your path, you'll just be a guy with a YouTube channel.
Yeah. And
maybe that's enough. That's fine. But if you have aspirations to go to Hollywood, man, you gotta hustle, whatever it takes. You have to have a whatever it takes type of attitude.
Yep. And all the time that he was here, he never once, in 7 months, I don't think I ever heard him complain one time about anything.
Not once.
I can't get interns nowadays that'll go past the first week without complaining, but he did 7 months. I mean,
in fact, he was the guy where he'd worked out of Studio B, and at the end of the it could be a couple because everybody they worked 9 to 5 or whatever here and stuff, but you and I would be here before 9 and after 5. And on the way out, it's like 7:30, and you walk up to Studio B, and you open up the door, and he's still in there. He's like, "Hey, man, you have to go home."
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's how. But see, the reality of it is that's how I got started. Mm-hmm. So I would work with KDN and freelance with them, and then I would hang out at the shop afterwards.
Absolutely.
And I would start playing with the gear. They let me, of course. I would ask first, but that's how I got my first recordings. I borrowed one of their DAT recorders, but that's exactly what he was doing. He was like, I'm gonna milk this experience for everything I can. And kids, that's how you get to Skywalker. I mean, that's how you make your dream happen.
That's how you get to Skywalker.
So there you go. All right, so
is that it?
You know what? I'm going to end the show with this.
With what?
I'm going to say make some.
Oh, wait a second.
Do you want to say it? Or
wait, is the show over?
Let's make it over. It's over when I say it's over.
All right, who has my check?
Wait, we're getting paid? All right, make some noise.